there was this monster that was there. And every time the monster growled, it just turned much more bigger. Hey everyone, this is Aslam Shahval over here, and I want to share a story with you today. This is a story about David and John, two very good friends. They decided to go hiking into the forest, and the journey started off early in the morning, and as they were going through, became late evening. They decided to take a break, saw the beautiful sunset that was happening over there, and David decided to tell John, since it's very late, why don't you rest and I will take care of the camp that they had built, the campfire. And when I'm feeling tired, I will wake you up. So John goes to bed, David is awake while taking care. All of a sudden, he sees this huge monster that turns up. And David kind of being strong, that's what he felt. He stood up in front of the monster, and the moment the monster growled, David kind of shrunk and got a bit more scared about it. And after a while, he saw this monster coming back again towards him, and the monster growled, and David became even much more smaller. And every time David would become smaller was due to the monster growling. And the monster kept growling, and David kept becoming smaller and smaller, and eventually he became so small that he kind of collapsed. And just before he collapsed, he took John's name, and it was John opened his eyes, and when John saw David lying over there, he thought that probably that David had fallen asleep. So John got up and decided to take the duty of taking care of the camp. Funny enough, a little while later, the monster comes back again, and he growls at John this time. And John looks at the monster and he says, "How can I help you?" And the moment John says to the monster, "How can I help you?" the monster kind of shrinks. And the monster was kind of a bit confused. And he comes back again and he tries to give a louder growl. And John again turns around and says, "How can I help you?" The monster shrinks again. And this goes on, and eventually the monster becomes so small that John just picks him up and he puts it in his pocket. Next day morning, David gets up, and they continue with the journey. And David just turns out to John and he says, "Something very funny happened." He says, "Really? What?" He says, "While I was on watch, there was this monster that was there. And every time the monster growled, it just turned much more bigger." And John, puts his hand in his pocket and he takes out the monster and he shows it to him and he says, "Are you talking about this monster?" And David says, "Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. That's the monster." But the moral of the story is basically, when we face our fear, every time we stand in face of our fear becomes smaller. And every time we face our fear and fear the fear, we become smaller. Eventually we become so small that the fear takes over us. In our life, we will always have problems. Problems will happen. There is no way that you're going to be away from problems. But these problems are there to polish you. When things are tough, when things are hard, that's the time when you need to stand up and you need to ask, "How can I help you? What is it that I can do in order to overcome this path?" And when you have those questions and when you have that, the answers automatically open up for you, because you are bigger than the problem that is there. So my friends, when you have fear, or when there's a monster in front of you, face it, because it is only there to scare you, and you are not one of them to get scared. I hope this is of help. If you like it, share it, and spread it around. Thank you very much. This is Aslam Shiva.